Well, a warm welcome to today's talk, Thursday the 27th of July. Now, yesterday the British Medical Journal published a really important paper documenting and giving evidence for the many millions of pounds that have been donated by the pharmaceutical industry to the British Medical Royal Colleges. And it might surprise you to learn that the biggest single contributor from the pharmaceutical industry was Pfizer. Now that's what this is about. If you want to watch, let's look at some of the detail now. So here we see that the blue is the total payments from drug companies, and the yellow is from devices, medical devices. British Medical Journal, and we see that the Royal College of General Practitioners received most money, then the Royal College of Physicians, and it goes on down. And to give us an idea of the scale, we're on £2.5–3 million in this picture. So we're seeing substantial sums of money going from what we might call vested interest from the industry into the Royal Colleges of Medicine. Now, this very detailed article, I'm not going to go through this in detail, but this is one of those diagrams that shows who paid what to whom. And you can look at that. It's freely available in the public domain. And this is the equivalent one for devices. So, for example, we see that Johnson & Johnson is the main one in that situation. And then we look at the total payments, and we notice that the payments peaked during the 2021, during the pandemic. Gone down a little bit since then, but not a lot. So that's in terms of annual payments to the Royal Colleges. So quite significant payments being made. Pretty uncomfortable reading, I must say, this article. Let's look at some of the detail now. Royal Colleges in the United Kingdom have received more than 9 million in marketing payments from drug and medical devices companies since 2015. The British Medical Journal reports, world's oldest medical journal, of course. Royal College of Physicians, Royal College of General Practitioners, the biggest recipients. Do check out the link. It's there. It's freely available. Just published yesterday. Medical Royal Colleges do not always disclose publicly the millions of pounds they receive from the drug and medical companies, apparently. Surprising. But they don't always disclose that. Now, the British Medical Journal asked the colleges to disclose payments from the industry, but they all refused to do so. Some of you might be disappointed that they all refused to disclose the amount of money they're receiving from vested interest to the investigation from the British Medical Journal. But the colleges are not obliged to disclose these payments. They are not included in their annual reports. Not included in their annual reports. That is surprising. That is really surprising. Don't approve. That's not. You'd think they'd be included in annual reports. Although they're only available, they are only available through voluntary industry transparency initiatives. So you can kind of reveal a bit if you want. If not, don't bother. Which experts say have limitations. Oh, really? Okay, it seems to have limitations. Drug companies gave 7.5 million to Royal Colleges in the year 2015 to 2022, for which the data is available. Royal College of Physicians, 2.8 million. Royal College of General Practitioners, 2.4 million. Biggest overall donor was Pfizer, making payments of £1.8 million. So quite substantial payments. I will consider that a lot of money to be given to these very influential, I think it has to be said, Royal Colleges in the United Kingdom. Novo Nordisk, £730,000. It details other people that got or gave varying amounts of money. Now, since 2012, the Royal College of Physicians Psychiatrists of Ireland has refused to take any sponsorship from drug companies. Excellent. Noting that research overwhelmingly, in their words, shows that clinicians are influenced by industry marking and that this affects prescribing. Wow. Now, prescribing is the drugs that are injected into you or that you swallow. So I would have thought this is quite a significant statement from the Royal College, from the College of, not Royal College, it's Ireland, College of Psychiatrists of Ireland. So that they've done that since 2012. Excellent. Emma Hardy, all-party parliamentary group on surgical mesh implants, which has been a big problem in my country. Medicine is literally a matter of life and death, and patients must be confident that they are receiving the best treatment available. So we need confidence that we're receiving the best treatment available for the right reasons. And of course, the right reasons would never be, hopefully, never be financial. And I've just included one thing there. I've put the link there to the BBC article just to show, but this is I've put this in parentheses because it's not what we're talking about today. But up to 170,000 people who had hernia mesh implants in England over the past 6 years could face complications. That's a few years ago from the BBC. Medical devices, of course, not drugs. Now, Margaret McCarthy, general practitioner, former Royal College of General Practitioners trustee and council member, former member. Even if we are told the information is independent, funding skews the types of education or information that gets made. So if someone comes along and says, well, I'm not going to give you any money to produce a documentary or an educational package on a particular topic, then you probably won't bother. But if they say, well, I'm doing a study on this, and here's some money, trot off and make some educational resources, who knows, that might motivate some people. Yeah, what gets made. So it's not even that it's not that what's made is not necessarily reliable. It's choosing what gets made. It's at a much more fundamental level than this. It means we become less independent because we are not setting our own priorities, and that's bad for the profession, according to Dr. McCartney. Now, the paper in the British Medical Journal also talks about conflicts of interest scandals. For example, I'm not going to go through all of these, but in March 2023, the Association of British Pharmaceutical Industry, the Association of the British Pharmaceutical Industry temporarily suspended the drug company Novo Nordisk because of serious breaches of the association's code of practice. And the Association of the British Pharmaceutical Industry, so this sounds a bit like an industry body, doesn't it? Only saves the data on payments for the most recent 3 years, deletes historical records. Data complied from Disclosure UK. This is the data in the article. An online database run by the Association of the British Pharmaceutical Industry. Personally, I would prefer to see a completely independent body that is in no way related to the pharmaceutical industry that it's representing. But that's just me. That's my personal preference. And this is where drug companies disclose payments to healthcare organisations, payment groups and health professionals who have consented for these payments to be made public. So, yeah, it appears to be voluntary. If you don't want to disclose payments, then don't bother. It seems to be optional. So how do we know this? Well, two academics, Bath University and Lund University in Sweden, of course. Payments were reported under wide categories, were changed without explanation, or were inconsistent between data sources. So if they're inconsistent, I guess that means one of them's wrong, or both of them are wrong, who knows? It's impossible to tell how much money goes to each recipient without many hours of Forsnick work. I would much prefer complete open transparency to explain these levels of funding that we are seeing. So this graphic shows payment types. Do check out the article. It's very completely readable. This shows the devices. This shows the drug companies. As we see, Pfizer is the main donor there. And this is the graphic of the amounts of money involved to the varying medical colleges. Now, no one's saying there's corruption involved here, but it's I don't think it's a good look, do you? I don't think it's a good look at all. And this says nothing about potential medical corruption in other countries, of course. This is purely a United Kingdom report. And it's just talking about the funding. It's not talking about corruption per se, which, as we say, it gives no evidence for at all. So we assume everything is completely open and above board. But it's not a good look. Not a good look at all. Now, after that, I'm a bit depressed after. I'm going to show you some of one of the projects that we're supporting now in Africa. When I say we're supporting, that means you and me. Let's have a look at this. Now, this is one I was at last October. I was there last. All the projects that we personally support on this channel, I'm got personal contacts and know people personally there and know the money that we do send, that you and me send, goes to where it's supposed to go. So let's look at some of the kids in the New Hope Children's Centre in Kenya. Well, a warm welcome to today's video. This was recorded on Friday the 10th of September 2022. We're reporting from New Hope Children's Centre in Uplands near Nairobi in Kenya. And this is actually the abandoned baby unit where abused young babies come to be looked after, and also some expecting young ladies who've sometimes been abused also come here to deliver their babies. This is the kitchen where the baby food is produced, or for the young children anyway. It's cooked separately from the rest of the facility, and it smelled really good. So this is one of the aunties who looks after the younger children at the facility who've been rescued, sometimes from truly appalling circumstances. Many of the children here would simply not be alive had it not been for this rescue centre. This is where all the younger children sleep. They've all got their own bed. It wasn't actually bedtime here, but they decided to show us that they knew all where the beds were. So it was quite nice. Shortly after this, actually, they would go in for their afternoon nap. Now, obviously, we can't breach confidentiality on this video, but we were told really quite harrowing stories about some of these children. But great to see that they are so well loved in this centre. And hopefully you had the chance to watch the videos that we recorded with Anne and Cecilia, where we talk about these things in a little more detail.
Marvellous.
This was some of them who just got out of bed. We, of course, viewed it as a bit of a curiosity. There actually hadn't been many visitors since pre-COVID time, so it was a real privilege to be one of the first post-COVID groups of visitors. And this one was very curious about the camera. When we went in, they all brought us a chair to sit on.
This is curious, isn't it?
It really is a beacon of light, this place, a true rescue centre for children. This is lunch being prepared. Now, this cabbage is actually grown on the grounds. We'll have a glance at the garden later, and I was so impressed by the dexterity skills demonstrated by these ladies preparing the cabbage. I would not like to have to do that. Here we have the cooking facility. This is Grace, Cecilia showing us around, cooking the cabbage. A bit smoky in there, but fortunately it was fairly well ventilated. That was the cabbage, and then this is the beans, and then we see the maize meal as well for the children's lunch. And this is the serving. This is lunch being served. You can probably hear the background noise. If I talk a bit closer, you can probably still hear me. 120 children at the facility at the moment. So all tucking into lunch.
Is that nice?
They get eggs twice a week. They get meat once a week. But most of the diet is, as we see, maize and vegetables.
That's very nice.
But they all looked really, really healthy. This is the garden where a lot of the food is grown. And we'll see later that they also have some animals. So this is the indoor activity centre to stimulate the children. They have a great time playing here. It's fairly basic, but the children absolutely love it. This is actually an organisation we've been involved with over more than 12 years now. 12 years since I first visited this facility. Great to see it grow and develop. And it is what it appears to be. It's excellent. Real beacon of hope in what it does. Children can sometimes be reunited with their families at a fairly early stage. Other times children grow up here completely. This is one of the classrooms, registered with the Kenyan government, of course, as an official school. Remarkably well behaved children. I've had students in their 20s who aren't as well behaved. This is the older group. They don't have a full high school facility as yet, but the older children can go out to high schools in different parts of the area and country. But the academic standards are high. Outdoor playing area. This was just kind of post-lunch run around.
Everyone
wanted to be in the video. Yeah.
Hey.
It was a really great atmosphere.
More.
And I can personally attest to the veracity and honesty of this.
You as well.
Really excellent
You're on, don't worry,
organisation. This is Ken. Ken was a child who was at the facility but had learning difficulties, so ended up staying. He looks after the sheep. I met him the first time about 12 years ago, so it's great to see him develop into manhood. Looks after the sheep, works on the gate, and the young kids love him. It's just wonderful. So thank you for watching this brief video from this centre. Where am I? There I am. Right, I need to stop this now. That's it. There we go. So, yeah, that's one of the projects we're supporting in Africa. I'll put a link if you want to donate. We can always use more money. Actually, since I made that video, we were a bit unhappy about the overall diet, so we've taken steps to improve the protein component of that diet in the form of extra protein that we've been able to get. We're building facilities, and there's always things to do. So I'll put the link as well. You can talk to Anchegi, the leader, directly if you wanted to. Yeah, I think that's about it. So pretty disappointing story from the United Kingdom and some good news from Kenya, but still plenty to do in both countries, I think it's fair to say. Thank you for watching.